that Sarah Widmer died of an undetected medical condition.
What's going on? She fell asleep in the bathtub. I think I was downstairs. I just came up here and she was laying face down in the bathtub. In the water? Yes.
Did you kill Sarah?
No.
Saddest, heartbreaking case of Sarah Widmer, and it has left families and investigators in shock as a victim is now been tagged as a suspect. On the other hand, the suspect's statements were riddled with inconsistencies, which heightened scrutiny and caused perceptions to shift. What happened to Sarah Widmer? And who is to be blamed for her sudden death? Join us as we explore the intricacies of this controversial case and unveil the truth behind the tragedy. This is Solved Files, where crime stories are brought to your doorstep. What are you waiting for? Just hit the subscribe button for more fascinating and suspense-filled crime stories. Now let's get back into this story and uncover this mystery, how the couple met. Sarah and Ryan first connected deeply at a neighborhood coffee thanks to their love of books. Tragic events occurred while their friendship was growing, raising more uncertainties and obscuring the circumstances of Sarah's death. Their relationship became closer with every interaction, and their mutual trust increased. They got to know one another better and shared their goals, ambitions, and hopes. What began as a friendship eventually developed into deep love. Ryan and Sarah had been dating for a few months when he decided to pop the question at a special dinner at the same cafe where they first met. Sarah enthusiastically accepted his proposal, and the pair quickly scheduled a wedding date. In a charming, small church wedding on April 10, 2008, Ryan and Sarah exchanged vows with their closest friends and family. Their big day was painstakingly planned and executed, with Sarah's stunning white dress adding to the overall elegance. After the glamorous ceremony, the newlyweds left for the romantic Hawaiian Islands to begin their honeymoon amid cheers and happy festivities. They spent 2 beautiful weeks in one another's company, enjoying the beauty of the surrounding scenery and environment. Their love blossomed during those times amidst the tranquil surroundings and tender laughs, strengthening their relationship as they started this new chapter of their lives together. Together, they imagined a future with plans and aspirations for a family. However, their journey took an unexpected turn on Monday, August 11, 2008. The once happy lives they both shared turned into a disaster. Let's see what happened and how it played out. The unexpected turn of event. Sarah met Ryan at their favorite cafe for dinner and a lively chat after working her shift at the dental clinic. Sarah took care of the groceries as they walked home, and Ryan got her a drink of water and a headache medicine. After returning home, they spent the evening together, watching their favorite TV program and cuddling. While Sarah went to her bedroom, Ryan stayed downstairs, absorbed in the TV show. Ryan had no idea that when he called out to Sarah and got no response, a feeling of worry was starting to set in. He headed upstairs in a state of increasing terror, only to enter the bedroom and be met by stillness. But before long, the man ran to the bathroom and saw Sarah face down in the tub. At 10:49 p.m., Ryan quickly turned off the power and hurried to contact emergency personnel. He called the operator in a panic, saying that he thought his wife had fallen asleep and that she had drowned.
Yes, the water's draining right now. I tried to do it. Everything I could. I tried to. So you're taking her out of the water now? Yeah. The water's completely drained, but she's just laying here unconscious. Nothing. She's still in the bathtub? Yes. Okay, so you drain the water out of the tub? Yes. How long was she in the bathtub? She was in here for at least 15 minutes, half hour, somewhere in there. I was downstairs watching TV. Have you tried CPR? Yes, as much as I could, what little bit I know. Somebody coming? Yeah, they're already on the way, Ryan. There's no way you can get her out of the bathtub? I can try, but I have to set the phone down. Okay. It's better to get her out of the bathtub and get her on a flat surface. Okay. I'm dropping the phone. Go ahead and put the phone down and try CPR for me. Okay. Come on, here, please, hurry up! TJ, come on! TJ! Stop, come here!
But how did it happen? Did she really do that to herself, or someone did? Who could that person be? The death of Sarah. Ryan struggled to follow the dispatcher's directions despite his panic, letting valuable time pass. He was able to take Sarah out of the tub and start CPR with the dispatcher's help. In minutes, The Widmer residence was visited by an ambulance and law enforcement officials in response to the distress call. The first impressions were that the loo was clean and dry, with no evidence of a struggle or hasty motions. Sarah's body appeared to be dead on the bedroom floor, with her damp hair serving as a clear sign that she had drowned. Ryan, on the other hand, is distraught and is pacing the bedroom while wearing nothing but his pants. Cardiopulmonary resuscitation was started right after by medical personnel after observing a troublesome discharge coming from Sarah's mouth and nose, which is a warning indication of drowning. The fact that Sarah's intubation attempts failed despite their best efforts adds to the mystery surrounding her untimely death. Ryan attempted to help revive Sarah in response to the investigators' constant pressure, but both failed. Sarah was then quickly taken to an ambulance, where medical staff attempted to restart Sarah's heart twice more using a defibrillator, but were unsuccessful. According to the medical staff, Ryan appeared frightened and nervous at his wife's side during the event. Sarah was subjected to additional resuscitation procedures just 20 minutes after arriving at the hospital. The medical staff worked non-stop, but at 11:41 p.m., an emergency physician tragically declared her dead. Ryan, overcome with sorrow, fell to his knees in the hospital hallway, hopeless. The unfortunate events were incomprehensible to the couple's friends and relatives. 4 months after their happy marriage, a tragedy struck, rocking the whole city. As the only suspect in his beloved wife's death, Ryan was thrown into the public eye. In his first statement at the hospital, Ryan insisted on his innocence, citing a perfectly routine evening spent with Sarah at home. Nevertheless, inconsistencies surfaced when his statement conflicted with the information in the emergency call log, which said that the victim was face down, the investigation and the cause of death. Perplexed by what was happening, Ryan had trouble accepting the startling truth of Sarah's sudden passing. He kept repeating the same information, almost as if he was enthralled. He suddenly moved from being a passive bystander to a critical player in the inquiry, driven to solve the enigma surrounding Sarah's terrible end. He reluctantly consented to a comprehensive search of their occupants. It was determined through analysis of Sarah's medication that it was a typical analgesic. However, her recurrent migraines remained a chronic problem, frequently requiring medicine that upset her hormonal equilibrium and sent her into a trance. This first account came to light as the first account of Sarah's death circumstances. Investigators searched the house and found bloodstains on the carpet. Additionally, it was seen during the investigation that when emergency personnel and law enforcement arrived, the bathtub was dry and free of damp towels. Authorities suspected foul play since there were no damp tubs or clothes in the house to absorb water, indicating that Sarah's death was not an accident. Ryan's contradictory comments made during the 911 call and his following hospital encounters intensified scrutiny and changed attitudes, turning him from a victim to a suspect. Nevertheless, bruising on the right side of Sarah's forehead during a physical examination suggested that she may have suffered trauma. There was also a place that meant there may have been injuries during the incident. These discoveries deepened the mystery surrounding Sarah's sudden death by adding complexity to the case. The inspection of Sarah's body revealed several noteworthy findings, such as an abrasion on her left armpit, bruises and lacerations on her upper lip, a discoloration on the back of her neck, and bleeding on the inside surface of her eyelid. Despite these wounds, the premise of a fight did not get much traction. Sarah had no visible injuries from a struggle with her hands, elbows, or knees, and her fingernails were whole and unbroken or chipped. In a similar vein, Ryan's physique showed no signs of wounds. Sheriff Bishop's investigation experiment could not establish beyond a reasonable doubt if the couple struggled that evening. It was unclear whether Sarah took a bath at all, or if she gave up and let her husband drown her, even with all the bathroom necessities ready and no indications of resistance. Dr. Roussel A.P. Grovey's autopsy on Sarah verified that drowning was the cause of death. In addition, several contusions to the scalp and multiple muscle humus in the front of the neck were observed, indicating injuries received before her demise. But the precise circumstances surrounding these injuries remained a mystery. Therefore, the investigation was left without conclusive information. Meanwhile, toxicological examinations of Sarah's blood revealed no alcoholic or LSD compounds. The arrest of Ryan. Ryan was taken into custody on August 13, 2008, on accusations of killing his wife violently. Inconsistencies between the emergency call, the scene, and Sarah's injuries served as the basis for the allegation. Friends and neighbors attested to the couple's intense love, but the terrible circumstances leading up to their death remained a mystery. The person who answered the call, emergency dispatcher Ron Cronenberg, testified during the initial court hearing in March 2009. The way Ryan conducted himself during the conversation raised questions about the legitimacy of Ryan's axion and raised the possibility that he was acting like a CPR volunteer. The prosecution contended that there was enough evidence to back up the notion that Ryan had forced Sarah to drown in the bathtub, including the 911 call, the scene, and Sarah's injuries. Although fingerprints and smears were revealed using UV imaging, investigators observed streaks on the bathtub that they suspect were left by human hands. The print's age could not be ascertained. In the end, the bathtub did not prove to be significant evidence demonstrating that Ryan and Sarah were at odds. The prosecution gave the jurors a convincing story that implied there was probably a major fight at the Widmer residence the night of the incident. The suspect did not explain this. An expert witness was asked to testify, stating that it was unlikely for someone to fall asleep and drown in a bathtub while under the influence of alcohol or illegal narcotics. In their evidence, they stated that the feeling of water on the face ought to have awakened the person and caused the gag reflex to kick in, thereby safeguarding the airway. In addition, a decrease in oxygen usually causes someone to wake up. This opinion was supported by the pathologist who performed the autopsy, who said that if Sarah's body was dry but her hair was still wet, it might mean that her head was forced off the edge of a wash basin, bathtub, or toilet. Why would her husband drown her? What was his reason for doing so? Did he detect something hidden about Sarah? This may have happened in a full bathtub or under running water, either forward or backwards. The prosecution claimed that Ryan was responsible for the crime because he forced Sarah to drown by holding her head underwater. On the other hand, Ryan's innocence was contested by the defense, who mainly relied on the lack of motive. They persisted in contesting the prosecution's case, claiming that there would have been evident proof of a violent altercation if one had taken place. However, neither Ryan nor Sarah had any wounds, and Sarah's fingernails didn't appear chipped or broken. The defense contended that Sarah's injuries were probably caused by the extended direct cardiac massage (CPR) and the several efforts at intubation that were made that evening, both at their house, in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, and at the hospital itself. Dr. Werner Spitz performed a second autopsy on Sarah at the defense's request. Although she had injuries to her neck, arms, upper body, skull, lacerated liver, and neck hemorrhage, Dr. Spitz confirmed that drowning was the cause of death. He was unable to determine with certainty, though, if these wounds happened while performing CPR. The people in attendance contended that attempts by emergency medical personnel and EMTs to put an IV into Sarah's neck may have been caused by their inability to reach her veins. Dr. Spitz declared Sarah's death to be undetermined instead of a homicide. The emphasis strengthened its case by emphasizing Sarah's dry skin, which they linked to her quick skin drying processes. They ran tests to show how rapidly skin dries compared to hair, and the results indicated that Sarah's body was dehydrated. This might be explained by Ryan's actions, such as disconnecting the drain and calling emergency services when he found Sarah unconscious. According to an experiment conducted by an expert witness, a person may dry out after coming out of the water for around 7 minutes. Ryan's father disclosed that the prosecution obtained DNA evidence showing Sarah had an undiagnosed medical problem before the first trial during a rescheduled hearing in May 2010. The prosecution, however, decided against sharing this information because she thought it would not change the jury's decision. Despite these revelations, Ryan's request for a retrial was turned down. The official explanation was the jury's mistakes during the investigation. Thus, Ryan stayed behind bars. Unexpectedly, Jennifer Cruz, posing as a friend of Ryan's, came forward to testify against him in front of the prosecutor's office, exposing continuous email or phone conversations between them. He called at 11:09 p.m. on October 26, 2009, his voice shaking with anxiety. He told Jennifer what had happened, and it was a painful story. He admitted to fighting with Sarah in the living room the day she passed away, unveiling the suspected killer. Ryan had broken their trust when Sarah stumbled over indecent photos that revealed evidence of his extramarital affairs. Their dispute became more heated, reverberating from the living area to the bedroom. Ryan led Sarah to the toilet in a rage and left her alone. Only when he calmed himself did he see Sarah gasping for air in the bathtub. He hurriedly whipped towels across the bathroom floor and devised a plan to hide the mess, desperate to hide what he had done. The members of Ryan's defense team put great effort into casting doubt on Jennifer's testimony to support their client. They emphasized that there were no damp towels in the house, not even from the dryer, and that there was no proof of adultery in their union. In addition, the family had never been known to fight and had no financial difficulties. However, friends also said Ryan was kind and friendly and never showed the slightest indication of hostility. Furthermore, since there was no life insurance policy in effect, Ryan had no plausible explanation for his wife's passing. Jennifer's credibility was successfully damaged as the third trial got underway, and she was not allowed to testify. Her testimony was further undermined by evidence of her previous infidelity and her convictions for small-time stealing. Furthermore, no evidence supported Ryan's purported confession during their chat. While the court case went on, the defense kept working to make a compelling case for Ryan's innocence in January 2011. A third trial occurred during the judicial process due to recently discovered evidence. The medical interpretation put forth by the defense team suggested that Sarah's condition might have caused an abrupt loss of consciousness, ultimately resulting in her untimely drowning. Numerous medical professionals attested to the possibility that pre-existing neurological or cardiac disorders could have caused such a loss of consciousness. Experts called in by the state, however, disagreed with these claims. Sarah's co-workers revealed during the court hearing that she regularly takes a nap in her car before starting her shifts at the dental clinic. She struggled with allergies and acute stomach problems all the time. The clinic's dentist, Dr. Benjamin Mesmer, remembered that on the day of Sarah's death, she had complained of both headaches and stomach trouble. A friend reported later that night that Sarah had mentioned her headache and neck pain and that she was very exhausted. Among her friends, Sarah's talent for dozing off in strange locations started to become a joke. Some even conjectured that she might have narcolepsy, a sleep ailment marked by extreme drowsiness throughout the day and sporadic bouts of sleep during the day. Apparently, Sarah's mother, Ruth Ann Stewart, testified for the prosecution and denied such allegations. She affirmed Sarah's good health from early childhood, highlighting her daughter's structured daily schedule and lack of excessive sleepiness. There were differing accounts of Sarah's sleeping habits, but agreement on anything remained hard. A specialist in biomedical engineering, human aspects, engineering, and biomechanics of injuries represented the defense. He, however, argued that Sarah's injuries were not consistent with those that would be expected in a forced drowning situation. Defense wounds on the limbs and damage to the sensitive neck bones would have been expected if Ryan had tried to drown her head-on. There would have been apparent damage to the victim's knees, hips, and pelvis if he had tried to strangle her from behind. But none of these wounds showed up when Sarah was autopsied. The defense argued that they could not explain Sarah's death from that evening. According to emergency medical expert Dr. Dave Smiles' testimony, there are over 300,000 cases of unexpected fatalities in the country each year, with 12% of those cases involving people under the age of 35. The autopsy results in 33% of these instances are normal, indicating no evidence of central nervous system, respiratory, neurological, or cardiovascular involvement. In addition, Dr. Smile expressed surprise that considering the intensity of the resuscitation efforts made, more damage had not been discovered on Sarah's body. The jury was urged to weigh all the evidence and conclude that Ryan had no intention of hurting Sarah. The defense emphasized that sometimes people pass away, and an autopsy may never uncover the reason. They implored the jury to examine all relevant aspects related to the case. The verdict of Ryan. Despite these objections, Ryan was found guilty of murder and given a 15-year prison sentence following about 12 hours of deliberation. The jury's verdict was influenced by various elements, including Ryan's past, the impression that his 911 call was planned, and the fact that there was no water on Sarah's corpse or in the area surrounding the bathtub. A third trial jury stated that they believed Ryan was guilty in large part because of the way he conducted himself in court. Photographs from the autopsy were shown, and everyone saw how unresponsive Ryan seemed to be. Meanwhile, Ryan declined to testify, but spoke to the court following the verdict, saying, "I'm charged with murder, but I love my wife, I didn't hurt her, and I wasn't given a chance the day after her death. I wish I had the answers, but I was not in the bathroom with her when this happened. I adore my wife, and I didn't do anything to hurt her." Ryan's family steadfastly stands by him, spending their whole life savings on legal counsel. They consistently show up to court and support him whenever possible. The tragedy that took place more than 10 years ago continues to bring like-minded people together. DNA testing is the last hope for Ryan Widmer's acquittal. In contentious judicial cases and exonerations, genetic evidence is significant, especially when there are unclear deaths involved. The request to analyze the victim's DNA rather than concentrating on the guilty person distinguishes this case. to identify possible inherited illnesses, including prolonged QT syndrome and LQTS. Ryan's legal team is aggressively seeking a court order to obtain Sarah's DNA for analysis. According to the clinic, LQTS appear to have a high risk of cardiac mortality as a result of aberrant health signaling. When considering all three trials, it becomes evident that there was no apparent reason. Though it is rare in murder cases for there to be no motive, the prosecutor is not obliged to provide evidence of it. Mike Allen, a former prosecutor in Hamilton, stated that Ryan Widmer is awaiting a federal court request for his release. Ryan's first chance at freedom after serving 14 years in jail will come in July 2025, provided a federal court grants his request. There's a tiny optimism that the next year will bring freedom, which grows yearly. Declaring his innocence, Donald Kuster, a law professor at the University of Cincinnati and an attorney for the Ohio Innocence Project, has stressed that Ryan's conviction alone does not ensure his exoneration. Proof of a constitutional wrong in the legal system must be shown to ensure exoneration. In 2025, Ryan Widmer will get his first opportunity at parole. Legal experts, however, contend that he has little chance of being released from prison because parole boards usually prefer prisoners who show regret. Still, Ryan is committed to remaining innocent. Now, going in for a crime you didn't commit is painful. I feel Ryan is truly innocent, but what do you think? Do you think Sarah died as a result of a health condition, or did her husband secretly kill her? Let us know in the comment section below. This case is similar to our previous video. Go check it out now.